everybody. So I'm so excited. I decided yesterday that I was going to hand dye my fabric for my Monopoly board project. And I have to apologize because I just got out of the shower. My hair is not done and I have no makeup on or anything, but I wanted to make this video really quickly. Last night I decided I was going to hand dye the fabric that I had purchased from Michael's, which was just like an off-white Aida cloth. And I wanted it to be a green color, like a really soft green or sagey or very light limey green, like a Monopoly board. And when I had looked online, it was very expensive for me to get a piece of fabric the size that I needed. I needed a piece, the finished piece is going to be 24 by 24 inches. And then I had to have space around that to allow for me to mat it properly. So I needed a piece pretty large. And for me to order that online and have it shipped here to where I'm living, it was really expensive for me to get a piece of Aida that was that size. And I also checked prices on Even Weave, which was even more expensive for a colored piece, like a piece that was already pre-dyed. So I went to Michael's. I had a coupon. I bought the fabric with the coupon. I think the fabric came to like $7. And it was a piece that's 29.5 inches by 36 inches. So it's plenty big. It's perfect. And I tried to color it. So I did a test piece and seemed to turn out okay, but it was a little darker than I wanted. So then I kind of figured that I wouldn't leave it in as long. I think I used RIT dye, and it calls on the packaging for it to be left in the water to soak. If you're going to soak, like if you're going to immerse it in the dye, which is what I did, because I didn't want the marbled effect of ice dyeing. And I figured if I ice dyed it, it was going to turn out too dark, especially in certain areas, and I didn't want that to happen. So I submersed it in the dye. The test piece that I did, this is a test piece, came out very limey green. I don't know if you can see that very well with the glare from the window, but it came out a very limey green. This was only in the water for about, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes. Like it wasn't in very long, maybe 7 minutes, say. The directions on the packaging says for it to stay in the water for 10 to 30 minutes, depending on how long or how dark or how vibrant you want the color to be. So I'm going to take you through the process that I use to dye my fabric, and I'm going to show you my finished fabric, how it turned out. I didn't leave it in for the recommended amount of time. It was going to be too dark if I had. I literally soaked my fabric for maybe 2 to 3 minutes. Like, it was under 5 minutes that it was in the dye. And this is the finished product. So, it's all dry now. Da, da, da. Da, da, da. It's a huge, huge piece of fabric. But it turned out a very lovely shade of, I don't know if you can, I'm trying to do it without getting the glare on it. It's like a very soft, it's like a very soft sage lime green. It is literally the perfect color. It is literally the perfect color for a Monopoly board. It turned out really well. I'm so pleased with it. So I haven't ironed it, but it's all dry. And like I said, I don't know if you can see that better there, the way that, there. It's a very light, lovely colored green. It's completely even. It turned out lovely. I have to say I'm really pleased with it. It's the first time I've ever dyed a piece of fabric, like of this kind of fabric. I mean, I've dyed t-shirts before and stuff, but this is the first time I've ever dyed a piece of fabric, and I'm really pleased with it. So what I'll do, I took photographs as I did the work last night at each stage. So I'm going to insert all the pictures with a description of what I did, and in case anyone else wants to give it a try. The piece of fabric that I started with was this kind of color. It was an off-white, and now it's this color. Well, maybe that'll show up the color better if I put white against it. It's a really nice limey, sagey green. Anyway, it turned out really lovely. So I'll insert the photos and a description of what I did at each step, and I don't know if anyone wants to give it a try. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Would I ever do it again? Absolutely. I've got lots of dye left over because the package said to use, you have to use really hot water, but the package said to use like half a packet, I think, for the amount of water that I was going to use. I didn't. I literally put hot water in my sink, very hot water in my sink, like almost boiling water, really hot water. I put 2 cups of boiled, very hot water in a plastic container. Mix the dye into the plastic container. It was literally like a sprinkle of the green, and then I mixed in several sprinkles of yellow, and then mixed that all up. I added a 1/4 cup of salt to that solution, that mixture, and let the salt dissolve, because the salt makes the color, makes the dye color fast when you're immersing. So instead of using vinegar like you will with ice dye. So I put the salt in the mixture. I let the salt dissolve. I added the color mixture to my hot bath of water that I had in my sink. And then I immersed my wet fabric into it, literally long enough for me to swirl it around with my hands to make sure all of the fabric had even coverage of the dye, because you don't want it to be wrinkled or twisted onto itself, because the dye won't cover evenly. Pulled it out of the water, dropped it in my other kitchen sink, rinsed it, washed it with a little bit of Dawn dish liquid, dish soap, rinsed it, and then left it out overnight to dry, which is why it's still all wrinkly, because I didn't iron it yet. So anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments section. I was just so excited about how it had turned out. I had to do a video to show you guys. And like I said, I'll have all the process now. You can watch what I did. Thanks for watching. Have a great stitchy day. Bye.